Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a fundamental aspect of Python object-oriented programming: static and class methods. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced coder, understanding these concepts is essential for writing efficient and organized Python code. So let's get started. But first, let's clarify what static and class methods are. In Python, a static method is a method that belongs to a class but does not have access to the class or instance variables. It's basically a regular function that's defined within a class for organizational purposes. On the other hand, a class method is a method that is bound to the class rather than the object instance. It can access and modify class-level variables and is often used for tasks that involve the class itself, rather than individual instances. Let's see these concepts in action. Here, we have a simple class called employee, in which I defined a class variable called company name, which is Apple. Next, I defined a constructor in which I passed the employee name and age. Now let's move on to the logic. Let's create a method called info, pass itself. Return, I'll use f-strings here, self.employee_name is self.employee age. Years old. Working for self.company name. Let's create an object for the class. E equals employee. Give it a name, let's say Alex, and age, let's say 21. Now let's call the method info. Print e.info. Let's run this. As you can see here, it prints out Alex is 21 years old, working for Apple. It's a normal method for this class. Let's create a static method. A static method is bound to a class rather than the objects for that class. This means that a static method can be called without an object for that class. This also means that static methods cannot modify the state of an object as they are not bound to it. Let's see how we can create static methods in Python. Let's create a function called add. Give it parameter a and b. Return a plus b. And we use the static method decorator to define a static method. Remember, in static method, we don't need the self to be passed as the first argument. Let's call this method print e.add 5 and 10. So it will print out 15. And we can also call this without using the object of the class. Print employee.add 4 and 5. So it will print out 9. The static methods do not have access to instance variables or instance methods and are essentially just regular functions defined within a class. If I want to access the instance variables, let's say return self.employee name. If I run this, it will throw an error. Note that static methods doesn't take any self parameters. Now let's move on to class methods. A class method in Python is a method that belongs to the class itself rather than any specific instance of the class. Class methods have access to the class itself through the first parameter, conventionally named CLS. They can access and modify class-level variables and perform operations related to the class as a whole. A class method is bound to the class and not the object of the class. It can access only class variables. It can modify the class state by changing the value of a class variable that would apply across all the class objects. Let's create a method called changeCompany, pass it CLS, or you can also pass self as well. And also pass the new name parameter. CLS.company_name equals new name. And we've used the class method decorator for creating a class method. Let's call this method e.changeCompany. Let's say Google. Let's run this. Now check the company name, which is a class variable. Print employee.company. As you can see, the change method modifies the class variable of this class. Let's print the info method also. Print e.info. As you can see, it print out Alex is 21 years old, working for Google. In summary, think of static methods as functions that belong to a class but don't rely on any specific information from instances or the class itself. They're like independent helpers that you can call whenever you need them, without needing to create an instance of the class. On the other hand, class methods are like commands that operate on the class as a whole, rather than on individual instances. They have access to class-level information and can change it if needed. So, static methods are for standalone tasks, while class methods are for tasks that involve the class itself. And there you have it. A clear understanding of static and class methods in Python. Remember, static methods are like regular functions within a class, while class methods are bound to the class itself. Incorporating these concepts into your Python code can greatly improve its clarity and efficiency. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Python tutorials. Thanks for watching.